Hi everyone. Hope you're having a great weekend. I actually did something really fun today. I went and watched my daughter's performance team perform for a fundraiser for autism. There's a really cool group called Halo. At our clinics, we do a lot of work with autism. And so that was fun for me to watch all these kids from all over California come together and raise money for autism for this group. And it was just really nice. A lot of these kids have autism and have benefited from performing and dancing. So really cool. And what it made me think of, these parents that have kids with autism, they're warriors, right? So we've been talking about the warrior mindset. Obviously, The Brain Warrior's Way is the books that my husband and I have written. And we talk, right now, we're covering mindset. What does it take to make a change? It takes being a warrior. You have to have a warrior mindset. It starts with that. If you don't know your why, you'll never do your what. Well, some people are thrown into a situation where they don't have a choice. And, I remember when I was sick, people saying, gosh, you're so strong, you're handling this so well. And I remember getting really angry and going, no, I'm not. I'm not handling this well. I don't have a choice. Like, how would you know if I'm handling it well or not? It's not like I was given a choice. I was sort of thrown into the deep end or, baptized by fire, if you will. Well, that's what these parents are going through with autism. And they don't know what to do when they hear that diagnosis. And, it's some of them just really struggle. And watching these moms who put this organization together, they did such a beautiful job. And I was so amazed. I was so proud of all the kids that came together and did this performance, and it was just beautiful. And so I really enjoyed that, but I was thinking in the back of my head the whole time about what struggles they must have encountered, how they never gave up, how, this love of their children caused them to become warriors, and they just never gave up. So that's what I really want you to, thanks Liz, that's what I really want you to think about as we go into today. We're wrapping up mindset today. This is what I'm going to move on after today, and I want to just talk about a little bit about mindset. So we have such a hard time with people thinking that if they fall, they call it failure. And I really want you to start changing your language. Okay, think about what you're saying. I don't think of falling as failure. I think of it as falling. Okay, so let's talk about falling. How many times do you fall before it's called failure? Well, it depends on how many times you get up, right? You fall down 7 times, you get up 8. As long as you get up that 8th time, you've won. Okay, it just means you learned a new way not to fall. Okay, you learned something new. If you fall down 99 times, as long as you get up that 100th, it's okay. Just keep getting up and develop a community that's going to help you. So one of the things that will really, I always think about these moms with this autism group. They don't get a choice. They don't get to stay down when they fall. They don't get to stay down when their kids fall, right? So I want you to think about that, or think about real warriors. I always use them as the example because thank God they don't wake up one day, when they're out fighting for our freedom and go, I don't feel good today. I think I'm just going to take the day off. Or if they get hurt or if they fall down or something, it's a little rough, they don't just go, this is too much for me. I think I'm just going to take today off. It doesn't work like that. So when we're only talking about your life here. We're not talking about anything really serious, right? Of course, I'm being facetious. It's like, hello, people, this is your life we're talking about. So it's your health. And, our friend Pastor Warren I love the saying that he says, people don't change when they see the light, they change when they feel the heat. Unfortunately, sometimes that's true. Well, we want you to start to learn from other people's mistakes, right? You can't show up on fight day and think you're going to win if you haven't been training every day. So we want to just start helping you. I got cat hair or something. My face, sorry. We want to start helping you change your mindset. This is what this is about, is getting that mindset right. So one of the ways you do that is by being aware that food companies don't have your best interest at heart. In fact, mass propaganda in general. Okay, think about mass propaganda. When a clown and a king with $1 billion bankroll can march into your living room at any given time, they can bribe your children or even bribe you with, 3/4 naked women eating, hamburgers and making you think that men, you're going to get them if you eat that, or women, you're going to look like that if you eat that. Come on. You know, we were given a big brain for a reason. You just got to use it. By the way, those women have spit buckets. A lot of them, Catherine Webb had a spit bucket on set. She was spitting it out. She was not swallowing that stuff. Give me a break. So you need to just use the brain God gave you and be aware of this mass propaganda, right? So they're using every single part of neuroscience to hook you. Think about something. Decades later, finger looking good. Bet you can't eat just one. They're great, right? All of these taglines, we've been trained like Pavlov's dogs to jump when we hear those things. We remember it decades later. So, you know, we start to salivate over certain things. It's crazy. Jingles, music, they hook us. You know, open happiness, all of these lines. And then on top of that, the neuroscience of beautiful women. It works. It works for women and men. Women want to look like that. Men think they're going to get that, right? So that works. And then that doesn't even begin to touch on what food scientists create. They know the perfect aroma to trigger your brain, the perfect meltiness, crunchiness, the bliss point in your brain by combining certain amounts of sugar, salt, and fat, especially cheap, partially hydrogenated and trans fats. They trigger the bliss point in your brain, which is the same part of the brain where cocaine and morphine work, except that sugar and fat work more effectively. So they know exactly what they're doing. And it really irritates me that for so long we've been blaming individuals, ridiculing them for not being more disciplined. Really? I mean, I'm all about taking responsibility, all about it. But when people didn't even know that they were really being hijacked, I mean, literally being hijacked, that's not fair, right? It's not fair when we don't even know that. So I'm all about responsibility, which means that I believe they need to take responsibility too, which is why we're getting our information out there so that you can take responsibility. And by the way, the word responsibility in my mind means the ability to respond. So we want to give you that ability to respond by having this information and not taking it lying down. You know what you're up against. They're not kidding. Right? They're not kidding. They are there to make a profit. They don't care about how much it hurts you. That's a wolf. We need you to think like a sheepdog, right? We don't want you to be sheep that just, they're targeted very easily. We want you to think like a sheepdog who have those same pointy teeth and that same gift of aggression when necessary. We don't want you to have to fight. We want you to be able to avoid the fight, but you know how to protect yourself and the people you love. So that's the sheepdog analogy. But blaming people for being overweight when literally their taste buds and their brains have been hijacked, we need to do a better job. And when you look around and you think about hospitals, I'm a nurse. We feed people the worst food in hospitals and in prisons and in schools and in addiction centers. Okay, really? What kind of nonsense is that? We need to be doing a better job of helping people who need to be eating healthy the most. We're feeding them the worst food. So it's going to take, it takes a village. It takes more than a village, right? It's going to take a society to make a change because they're not going to change when they know that it's cheaper and easier to just feed garbage. And, they're not helping any of us. So I wanted to just go over this. And I had this it just was perfect timing. So I've told the story of Angie so many times. I'm so proud of her. She is one of the people, she started with the Omni Diet and then she's been doing the program, The Brain Warrior's Way, since we came out with that. By the way, people have been asking me, what is the difference? What's the difference between the Omni Diet, which was my New York Times best-selling book on basically more about food, and what's the difference between the nutrition plan in that and The Brain Warrior's Way? Not really anything. The nutrition is the same. The food program is the same. The difference in the two books, and people have been asking me why they should focus on one or the other. The only difference is The Brain Warrior's Way was written by my husband and me. We wrote it together and it is the best of his work and my work. Think of Change Your Brain, Change Your Life meets the Omni Diet. Okay, so it's really focused on the brain and it is sort of the new program of the clinics, if you will. Omni Diet was really food focused. It was a deep dive into food science, whereas The Brain Warrior's Way is everything. It's mastery over your brain and body, and it's his work and my work, and it's updated science as well as a new cookbook. Okay, so that's the only difference. It's not like we came up with a new plan. Just to clarify that. So If Omni's working for you, great. If you want some new updated stuff and a new cookbook, then fantastic. But then Daniel's work is in there too. So Angie did the Omni diet. She lost 103 pounds. She had been ridiculed her entire life. If you haven't heard her story, it's amazing. It's also in The Brain Warrior's Way. She had suffered a lifetime of illness, okay? Female problems, migraines, depression and anxiety had just completely dominated her life. She felt ridiculed. She was ashamed. At 8 years old, her mom put her in Jenny Craig. She used to hide in the kitchen pantry and binge on bags full of bad food. And she just thought there was something wrong with her. So she never understood, and she just had so much self-loathing and just, she always never could figure it out. So when she had tried in her words, tried every diet, quick fix, and every diet pill she could ever find, only to fail over and over again. When she found the Omni diet, she realized that it wasn't her, it was what food was doing to her. And I love those words when she said that. She said, I finally realized it wasn't me, it's what food was doing to me. And so when she understood the food science, she began to change what she was eating and looking at food differently. She understood the neuroscience that was being used against her. And within 2 weeks, she lost 11 pounds. Within a little over a year, she lost 103 pounds, and she's kept it off. It's been several years now. But Angie is not different than anyone else. Okay, so she's not like some superhuman. In fact, she suffered for years going back and forth. And this is what I love. So there have been 2 times now that she's written to me that she got a little panicky because she started to put on a few pounds. Well, a few pounds in Angie's mind was a trigger that she was going to gain all of it back, and she got really scared. So this last time, one time she gained 7 pounds, she quickly lost it again, and doing the exact same thing. This time she got more scared, and I want to read this. It came at the perfect time as we're wrapping up mindset. And this is what I want you to take away today. Here's what she said. She said, I hope you all had a great holiday. It's been a rough couple months for me, but I know it's all part of the process. See, she used to just get freaked out. Now she understands this is part of the process. She falls and gets back up. I started working out too much, dramatically dropped my calorie intake to get those last pounds off. Didn't work out so well. After weeks of too much working out and not enough food, my body responded in such a way I couldn't get enough to eat, putting all the weight back on and even adding a few pounds. Not all the weight meaning the 103 pounds, meaning the few pounds she had gained. I started cheating, making exceptions for the things I knew I shouldn't be eating. Then just before Christmas, I injured my back at work, healing now, but couldn't work out for a few weeks, which was really difficult. After all this self-loathing, shame, and anguish over my eating, sabotaging my own progress, I jumped right back into phase 1. So she felt all the old feelings of self-loathing and shame and self-hatred, and she was terrified she was going to gain it all back. And what did she do? She went, okay, I've done this before. I know this is part of the process now. This isn't failure. She used to think it was failure. Went right back to phase 1. If you read Omni Diet, phase 1. On Brain Warrior's Way, it's just step 1, okay? Started over. She just went like she was starting over. After only a few days, I felt better mentally and physically. Weight starts coming off right away. Brain feels clearer. Just amazing to have such a huge setback as we all do, and be able to jump back into it so easily and be so effective so quickly. I'm so thankful for this program, this knowledge, your help through it all. I know I'll never be lost without it. I thought for sure this time I was done. I'd ruined everything and I'd gain back the weight and be sick again. And just as quickly as I jumped right back into it, my self-doubt was gone. As always, much love and gratitude. So what I want you to take away here is that's normal, okay? And Angie finally has realized it's normal. It happens. It even happens to us. You know, we went to Hong Kong, got off track. I came back feeling like I had the flu. And, you know, just a couple days of eating gluten and I felt miserable, okay? It happens to everybody. The difference is that now I know I have the tools to get back on track. We just know it's normal and it's just part of the process. Like she said, we all get off track and it's part of the process. So, you know, it's interesting. What I want you to take away from this is that the yo-yo dieting, when she said, you know, she was restricting her calories too much and working out too hard, that's counterintuitive to a lot of people. That is so detrimental. That was That was really the cornerstone of Omni, and it's the cornerstone of the Brain Warriors way. It's not work out harder, it's work out smarter. Okay, it's not ever, restricting calories to the point of starvation. In fact, it's the opposite. We don't ever want you hungry. She lost 103 pounds without feeling hungry. That's the point. It's nourishing your body, because weight loss is the stunning side effect of vibrant health. It's about eating the things that feed your body what it needs to get healthy and getting rid of the garbage that's been poisoning you. Okay, so that is the point. And that's what I want you to know. So yo-yo dieting never works. And the only solution is real food, loving yourself all the time. And we want you to know that and think about that mindset of a sheepdog. It's not just about protecting other people, it's about protecting yourself. It's about loving yourself, guarding yourself against all of that propaganda and nonsense and yo-yo dieting. So, I practice martial arts and I love it as a metaphor. So talking about just to give you an example, right before I got my black belt, I had hurt myself pretty badly. Now, I've hurt myself before, but for some reason this time it got me down. It mentally got to me because I was already a little nervous about the black belt test. So this time when I hurt myself, it was a huge setback. I got nervous about taking my test. I felt like giving up, and my confidence was shaken. So I began to wonder if it was worth it. And then all of a sudden I realized, this is ridiculous. I've been preparing for years. I'm not about to give up now because I got hurt. That's just not going to happen. So I got back up, and I'm reading my notes as I go here because I don't want to forget something. I changed the day of the test, but I was no way going to give up and let that setback get me down. I changed the date of the test, and I began preparing and strengthening myself to take that test over again. But that's a little bit like what Angie did. She fell. So see, I had lots of cuts and scrapes and bruises and contusions and things like that before, and it never got to me like that one did. But that was a big hit that I took right before my test, and that one psyched me out a little bit. So Angie had lots of bumps and bruises along the way to losing that 103 pounds, but something about that last hit really got her down, right? So it took a little bit of time. It took a little bit of gathering her wits to go, okay, this isn't different. And there's one benefit to falling like that. There's one benefit to getting hurt now and then and falling down. It's that you learn how not to do it. And for me, the biggest benefit to falling like that was that I realized that the fear of falling, the fear of getting hurt, was far worse than actually getting hurt. My fear of, fracturing a bone in my foot or in my rib, or getting hit in certain places and hurting my hands or whatever, was far worse than actually getting hurt. In fact, at the time that I got hurt, I kept actually going, and it wasn't until I got home that I went, ouch, okay, that doesn't feel good. But the point is, as a woman who's been attacked, I always feared fighting back because I thought that getting hurt was really scary, when in fact the fear of getting hurt was scarier than getting hurt. I hope that makes sense. So it's the same thing here. The fear that Angie had of falling and gaining the weight back was worse than just falling and then getting back on track. And I want you to take that away. That is so important. Our fear, what's in our head, our negative self-talk, is always worse than reality. Now, there are some things that are tragic, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying we build things up in our heads that are horrific. So it's really important that you get a grip on your mindset. That's why we spent so much time on mindset. And before we move on, I want to wrap up what we discussed over the past few sessions. So, are you a sheep or a sheepdog? You got to get that into your head, because sheep, if you want to be a sheep, there's nothing inherently wrong with them. They're harmless. They're sweet animals. A little on the dumb side. They tend to follow other sheep off of a cliff, and you're likely to become a lamb chop. So just know that, okay? So, you got to ask yourself if that's what you really want. You got to know your purpose. So this is all stuff we've done. If you haven't been watching, you can go back and watch the other videos. You got to know your purpose. If you don't know your why, you'll never do your what. Identify with being strong, serious, and healthy. We talked about making your identity as a warrior or your identity as an athlete. What would an athlete do? And if you are thinking like an athlete and asking yourself, would an athlete do this? Would a warrior do this? And if not, why are you doing it? Treat yourself the way an athlete would. Think of an Olympic athlete. Would they do that? Probably not. So if you put yourself in those shoes, you're going to act differently. So focus on abundance and not deprivation, right? This is about abundance. It's abundance of things that are going to give you the life you want. You know, for me, abundance is being able to be here with you. It's being able to go to that, performance today and watch my daughter and helping her, guiding her through life and watching her see her dreams come true. That's abundance. It's having a life full of purpose. Deprivation is that cupcake, because I know it leads to hell. I know it leads to that lifetime of illness that I have had. So that's deprivation. Eating something that gives me 15 seconds of pleasure, no. That leads to a lot of deprivation for me because I've been sick and I'm not going back easily. So wrap your brain around what real abundance and real deprivation is. And then we want you to have accurate, honest thinking. Okay? So we want you to have an appropriate amount of anxiety. And we just talked about being aware of mass propaganda. Don't listen to that nonsense without thinking about it and going, wow, I can't believe they're really getting away with this. Like, be aware of it. Don't just let it go unconsciously through your head. Turn the TV off. So be aware, of the places you go. From now on, actually, I would like to challenge you. When you go to hospitals, airports, places like that, pay attention to how many healthy options there are. All right, just count them. Count how many healthy options there are and how many things are there that are designed to make you sick. No joke. They're not actually designed to make you sick. They're designed to make you addicted, which, by the way, they just don't care if they make you sick. So just pay attention. I'm going to challenge you to do that. So last thing is that if you're a sheepdog, it means you're taking care of the people you love. It's not just about you. All right. So that's going to wrap up our little section on mindset. I'm always going to be planting little things along as we go if something really cool comes up. But we're going to move on. And next we'll be focusing on assessment, what you should be assessing yourself for, because you can't change what you don't measure, right? Have a great weekend. Go do something meaningful with purpose. Do something to make someone else's weekend great. Take care. Bye-bye.